I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 15th, 2021 Pittsburgh Planning Board meeting. This is our first meeting that we've had to really operate in a public forum since the COVID crisis over a year ago. So there's still some participants on Zoom. We're always, would like to continue that method. But that the meeting public is kind of a nice way. A couple of things before we open up the meeting. There've been a few minor changes to the constituency of the board, and I'd like to just point out that recently Mike Harris, who is a seating member of the board, has been accepted a position as the vice chair of the board. So we now have a vice chair, which is a vacant position, and we have Matt Hoffman, who is now permanently a member of the board, voting member, who is an alternate before. Mike Walpole, same deal, and Sing Lee. So we have a lot of mics on the board, so not to be confused. So we welcome that. We have a fully constituted board now. We have no alternates, but we have enough voting members so that we can proceed comfortably at meetings if someone's absent. I'll just point out that these are volunteer jobs and people are giving up a lot of their time to do this. And the board's decisions are really, a matter of collective thinking and guided by the town zoning laws. And we try to involve the public. The public's voice is always heard, which means we incorporate the concerns to the largest extent practical. In light of all the legal constraints that we have. We also, at these meetings, we also have a town board attorney, who's well versed in municipal laws, environmental laws, a strong asset to our actions at the planning board. Teresa will correct us whenever we stray from the constraints that we operate. And we have Dale Warner, who is our town planner and code enforcement officer, who gives up his time to keep these meetings, as well as Melissa, who is painstakingly taking notes and trying to transcribe all this information that passes back and forth to get the most prepared on the website, which is it's a considerable amount of work to do that. So we thank them very much. With that being said, we'll just go around quickly. I like to do this for introductions. And so my name is Jeff Schmidt, the chairperson of the planning board.
Good evening, Mr. Novak, planning board member.
Matt Hoffman, planning board member.
Teresa Baker, planning board attorney.
Mike Walpole, planning board member.
Josh Houghton, planning board member.
Michael Santulli, planning board member.
Mike Harris, the vice chair, and Jeff Finch, the opening comments there.
Okay, good. Okay, typically at these meetings, we have an agenda that we circulate ahead of the meetings. In this case, at tonight's meeting, there was some late changes to the agenda. They weren't out in this timely manner as we promise all the time, but we wanted to include them. So for those that have a copy of the older agenda, there's another agenda that's available that we'll be working off of. The first part of the meeting is typically our open forum. The open forum, kind of the guiding rules are any statement that you would like to make to the planning board members regarding almost any issue of the jurisdiction over. You can make, you can identify yourself by your name and your location. Your presentation succinct, we can say 4 minutes. And also, the presentation should involve anything that's on the agenda, because I think it's be discussed further. Okay, so with that as a backdrop, I'll make a motion to open the open forum for the town of Williamsburg planning board meeting.
I'll second. Jeff,
Yes.
Liz, yes, Matt,
Yes.
Walpole,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Santulli,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
So anybody would like to make a comment to the board on the open forum, is welcome to do so.
Good evening. This is Lynn Bruning, 13388 Twinsburg Road. The solar facilities law and the event facilities law remain open for public comment. The next town board meeting is Thursday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. Please submit comments in writing to the town clerk. Since 2020, Dwaynesburg residents, including myself, have requested that the town approve a moratorium on battery energy storage. At the June 24th, 2021 Town Board meeting, Supervisor Tidball stated he believes that the town would be opposed to big storage units of containerized battery energy storage. I've attached a copy to my statement of NYSERDA's battery energy storage guidebook and some images of solar storage for your reference. NYSERDA reviews solar arrays and battery energy storage as independent and separate projects, even if they are co-located. This opens the possibility to obtain a pilot for an array as well as a pilot for the storage. Developers significantly increase their revenue by selling energy storage at peak hours. Failing to obtain a pilot for storage may be seen as the town leaving money on the table. NYSERDA requires that battery energy storage projects adhere to the 2021 International Fire Code, even if this is more restrictive than the municipality's laws. The town should reinforce this with a battery energy storage law, and I have an exhibit. Developers are responsible to their investors, not the town, not the neighbors, and not the environment. Our solar law does not address where used batteries are stored prior to removal and how often they must be removed. The approximate lifetime of an energy storage battery is less than 10 years. Does our law require the owner operator to immediately remove the spent batteries, or can they leave the waste on site for the next owner to have to dispose of? Will improper storage of spent batteries cause contamination of ground and water? These are items that could be written into a battery energy law. I request that the planning board please move forward with a moratorium. Towns that have enacted moratoriums are Avon, Richmond, and Canton. I've included those moratoriums for your reference. And a moratorium is important because batteries are dangerous and they do explode. The March 2020 explosion of the abandoned house at 1350-90 Dwaynesburg Road was enough warning for me that things do go wrong. This fire shut down Route 7 for more than 4 hours. The house was built before the 1900s, and I suspect the intense blaze released a great amount of asbestos and lead into the air, which was blowing west over the neighbor's house. A battery energy storage explosion would likely be far more invasive and dangerous than a house explosion. They are definitely more dangerous because electrical fires are hard to extinguish. And I would suggest that the law would include full disclosure if firefighting foam containing PFAS chemicals is used, and how will the earth be protected from the chemical released by the fire. In South Korea, there's been 23 battery fires in a year and a half. And I have an article, and just this month, Morris, Illinois, it was a warehouse of batteries. So not affiliated with an array, but a big warehouse. But that exploded and 5,000 residents were evacuated for more than 4 days while that burnt out. I hope the planning board will consider this information, and thank you for your time and consideration. Good evening.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Discuss that with our council later. Are there any other comments from the public? Information on? Okay, hearing nothing, no. I'll move to close the open forum.
I'll second.
Yes.
Liz, yes. Matt,
Yes.
Walpole,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Sam Phillips,
Yes.
Terrence.
Yes.
All right, the first item on our agenda, or it's really the second item, would be public hearings. We have a public hearing to reapprove the minor subdivision for the lands of Carly Coolidge. Anyone from the from Zoom? Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Fred Metzger, land surveyor here this evening for Bruce O'Day in regards to the Carly Coolidge subdivision. It was something we put together, did, and presented to the planning board last fall. Got the approvals, but due to some unseen circumstances, we're not able to follow through and file the map within a 62-day time period. So we're here back this July here to follow through with the public hearing for the approval, the reapproval process, and get a new stamp and signature, an updated one anyway, so we can now follow through and file the map.
Are there any changes whatsoever to the plat that's going to be filed?
No, sir. Actually, I returned all the original ones. I spoke with Dave over at the county, and he said as long as the date is updated, he's perfectly good. He's had them come in 5, 6 years old. So he goes, as long as they got, they went back through the process and had the board look them over and give it a new date on it and stamp, they were good.
You want to describe it all for the record? So people can too.
Sure.
Yeah. Could you just, we have the public on here tonight. So can you just kind of succinctly describe what the project?
Oh, sure. My apologies, sir. Anyway, so yes, we had a proposed 2-lot subdivision located at 5434 and 5456 New York State Route 20 Western Turnpike. It's the existing 2 structures down there. I believe the one is the antique shop. Oh, no, wait, but that's next to the antique shop. I take it back. There's a house there, and then the what was I think a rental, but which is now owned by the Guns and Ammo place out there, or going to be anyway shortly. And again, put together a 2-lot subdivision in the in the Hamlet zone, and each of the 2 lots meet all the requirements for that particular zone. And excuse me, each of the lots have the septics and wells for them already exist. Basically, all the improvements are existing, and the way we cut it up and designed them, we met all the zoning requirements for the Hamlet zone.
Thank you.
Any issues, Dale?
No.
Do we have the deeds? Did they do the deeds already to these?
Yes, they have done the deeds.
All done? Okay.
Pardon me?
Paul Callahan with the deeds.
Well, none of the deeds have been done yet because we couldn't file. He's working on them.
But we've seen them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I provided legal descriptions.
Okay.
Yeah, description.
Yeah. Like I said, Paul's got to put them together, but we can't file anything until the map is filed. So that was why nothing was transferred as of yet.
We need to open the public hearing.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Coolidge, special minor subdivision. Second.
Jeff?
Yes.
Liz? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Walpole?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Okay, so if anyone from the public has any concerns, comments, would like to have more information on this, not your opportunity. Say something. Doing nothing to the, that question, I make a motion that the planning board approve the minor subdivision.
Gotta close the
I
public.
gotta close. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Liz? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Walpole?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes. Is that? Want to make a motion? Sure. We don't have, there's no neck deck or anything like that. right? Okay. So I would like to make a motion to approve the minor subdivision for the Carly Coolidge application.
We
Reapprove.
Second.
Thank
Harris?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff? Liz? Yes. Josh?
Yes.
Walpole?
Yes.
And Samuel?
Yes.
next item on the agenda is new business.
Did you hear that? Just want to make sure you heard on the phone. That we're approved, done.
Yeah, so everything's all set. We're all good. Now, I had dropped the prior plans off, so if you could just give me a ring when they're set and ready, and I'll pick them up and file them with the county, and then we'll get the deeds, like I said, follow through with the deeds and have everything filed.
They'll be ready tomorrow, Fred.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Very
Have,
good.
have a
Yeah.
have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Jeff.
Bye-bye.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oops.
Yeah. You can see you guys are there. It's dark. The next item on the agenda is new business, of which we have no new business this month, so it's, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we don't have anything to discuss. We have a new item, and this was a late addition to the agenda. It's Oak Hill Solar 1 and 2, amendments to their existing construction plans that were approved by the planning board.
Jeff, before you go ahead with that, is there an application for sketch that somebody's waiting for?
Yeah, we do have that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that first?
Yeah, let's get that
Okay,
out of the
yeah, all right,
way,
all
if
right.
that's all right.
I think the Oak Hill discussions may take a bit of time, but
Yeah.
the next item is sketch plan review. We have a sketch plan request from Robert Bernhardt, located at 244 Bark Hill Road, for a lot line review. Yeah, let me just go ahead. Okay. You went first here, so.
Sure, yeah, thank you. Basically, as you can see on there, the yellow highlighted area is the tail end of a piece of property I would like to buy. And the property just below that is my existing residential home. And it's a piece of property I've been looking at for a number of years, and the owner decided he was gonna sell it, contacted me last week. And, approximately 2 acres. I kind of walked it with the GPS, but I am talking to a surveyor who will come in and survey that along with my existing property and make one new deed and a new survey map with that on there.
So
And
that line that says 10.3A on it, oh, we're just gonna erase that line. That's the whole idea, right?
Yeah, that line to the right of that was the surveyor, and I drew that in there. Would be the proposed new line. And I do have a letter here from Phil Boyle, the current owner. Yep. Oh, you have that? Okay. All right, very good.
Yeah, so you're not buying the whole parcel, you're just buying a piece of it.
No, yeah, just that piece, and I have no intentions of building anything there. The hashed area that you can see there is I-88 fence line. And that little tail piece of property is just behind, sort of my backyard. And behind that is I-88. So, and, you know, it's been one of those things that I've looked at for years. And he decided that he would sell it. So I'm not interested in the whole parcel, just what's behind my backyard. That's all.
And that long strip that goes to the right, there's nothing, no house there or anything now?
No, there's nothing there now, and as a matter of fact, it's pretty much landlocked. There's a very large, I'm not gonna say cliff, but a very big hill, almost on the property line for the next parcel to the right there. And then it goes down the hill, crosses a stream, and then it's flat. And his property, he's got a small Quonset hut and about maybe 150 feet, I'm guessing, road frontage coming out there. So it's an L, comes in off of Gallaville, follows the existing properties behind that, in between I-88 and those properties.
That is a weird lot.
And I think it got cut up that way when 88 came through, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it looks like.
So on these, where's the access to this pieces? Is it right here? Or?
No, down here is his
Oh,
piece, and that's, yeah, this is a separate piece, and it's a small piece right here.
So it's all wooded for the most part.
It is, it's, yeah, it's popple trees. Hemlocks.
So does the parent parcel have any kind of access still?
Yeah, I believe so.
It said, yes.
Yep.
You follow,
Right.
Oh,
To
up
the left.
there.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay, because it looks like the 10.1 and the 17.1 lots are separate.
I think his road frontage, as you see where the heavy line is,
Yep,
if you got the cursor and move that up a little, right there, I think that's his Quonset hut is right there, and that's his piece of road frontage. It goes in and then goes to the left. From what I gather.
Yeah, they're separate.
but we're not creating a more non-conforming lot.
Decreasing the.
Right, that sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, basically, I would just take the property line on the left. just move it over.
Yeah.
You get a piece, right, exactly. Maybe you will.
For this Dale, that,
I don't see any reason why not.
okay, Dale? is there
I'm
anything?
okay.
Listen for more words there?
It's
So-
an easy one.
Okay.
We can. What we're doing, Bob, is the board is, they've done sketch plan review and they're okay with it. So because because it's less than a 2-lot subdivision, because it's a 2-lot subdivision essentially, but it really, it's just a lot line adjustment. They can refer it to Dale and then Dale handles it from here on out, which is a much simpler process.
Unless you want to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm good the first.
So it is a lot line
Yeah.
adjustment. I'm sorry. I fumbled that one.
All right, so.
Only if Mike agrees to read.
Got it. I'm good.
Right.
Yep. So I make a motion, the planning board determines that the proposed lot line adjustment neither creates or increases any significant planning issues with respect to the existing or potential future use of the both parcels. And that no additional lots will be created as a result of the lot line adjustment. Planning board declares the proposed action to be further exempt from any further subdivision review pursuant to this article and refers the applicant to code enforcement officer to complete administration of the same.
Harris,
Yes.
Waffle,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Liz. Yes. Matt,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
and Tim.
Yes.
Good to go. Okay, very good. Appreciate your time and,
Smooth sailing.
thank you.
Thanks. Great. Okay, we'll go back to our agenda. We have old business, and again, it's the Oakville Solar 1 and 2 amendments. Some of the, Audience may realize that we had issued a special use permit to allow the construction of these facilities. We're waiting for the building permits. There have been some physical changes to the configurations at the site. We've had an opportunity to look at them. Best judgment on at this point for Oakville Solar. Tell us what's happening.
I reviewed plans and there were a couple changes. We had a video conference and we talked about some changes over the phone. And initially, they wanted to extend the road, which I didn't feel was a big issue. It wasn't affecting anything other than expanding the road. But then when the plans came, there was an additional road and what I thought was 4 storage containers of batteries. But actuality, it's less batteries, megawatts than what had already been approved. But I'll let people from Oakville Solar.
Yeah, sure.
Should I stand up here?
This is our first time in this room too. so.
This is
This is the. Sure. There we go. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want.
So, I guess we don't have any, I have physical displays over there, exhibits for you that I printed out. We didn't send anything. So I do have one that I circulate that shows, the plan is made to show the two differences, the old plan versus the new as far as the road goes. It's a large plan. So essentially, what we have with the battery storage, what Dale thought was, we used to have as, you said-
Maybe you want to say who you were. And
Oh, I'm
who you're
sorry.
Representing.
I'm sorry, I'm Brandon Smith with Green Cells USA, and we're the constructor. So we've been hired by the developer to build this site. I am from Albany. I built a number of sites around here. I haven't built battery storage before. This is a new one for me. I mean, it's not new to the industry, but we've been building solar for a while without battery storage. Now these jobs have storage. So I think when I turned the plans in to Dell, what he noticed was the additional road, which I can show you in the exhibit. And we added more detail to the actual equipment areas. So I had to have our civil engineers actually put dimensions to the pads and the equipment areas so that we could pour them all. And I believe what the developers pretty much told the towns they're going to have inverter, direct coupled battery storage along with the inverter. So I'm pretty sure that you always anticipated to have one battery storage container per inverter. And on the old plans, I have some exhibit there too, can't show it to you. They're called energy equipment areas, I think, but area B, area A and B for each project. So there were 4 and there still are 4. Now it looks different. It used to just be one little box on the plan, knowing the given dimensions. And now it's a 53-foot container for battery storage. It's a series of disconnects, about 5 apiece, which are about the size of this table. And then it's the inverter. It has real dimensions now, so it looks a little different. And we shifted them a little bit since we made these new roads.
Overall approved permit to IFC Van Paris. I guess I can pass this around. That'll work. I'll tell you guys see. That's the change in footprint. And that shows the old one, so that round line. Am I out of order if I come over here?
No, that's fine.
This is the brown. We should follow this. This one. This is brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are pervious wall roads. But they're pervious. Pervious wall roads, so there won't be any stormwater maintenance features next to them, like straddles and attention ponds or anything. So the first thing I did back, you guys, the old SWIP only gave us, I think, 1 acre. We had only applied for 1 acre. It's a general permit. And now I have an nationwide permit. I could have that backwards, but okay, then not Army Corps. So DEC, my SWIP permit, we now have the right to disturb 5 acres. So that would be my speedies permit. Sorry, my speedies permit used to give me the right to disturb 1 acre on this original plan here. We changed that a while ago to 5 acres. That's in the SWIP that I dropped off. Yeah, and I dropped this is documents, the NOI, dropped that off as contract certification. Need to see the inspector for the SWIP. Should I point this up?
No, this is the new piece, and this doesn't have the solar battery array information on it, so.
It has, yes, I can follow with that one. So this one is made for that. And it shows, and I can go back and sort of inverter transformer station, 1, inverter transformer station 2 for this job. And then for this job, they were both at the, they're both at the road. I'm sorry, the second job is down here. Here's station 1 and 2. So we had 4 inverter transformer stations. And now we have inverter transformer battery storage station. The old plants never were battery storage. Yes, you guys just discussed that they would be inverters. The old plants pulled out inverter transformer stations.
Do you have the old plans, Bill, because that's not my recollection?
Yes.
Can you pull them out?
Change the terms of like context meters that we're talking about.
Yeah, the 3 foot containers, so I believe it's just like on the back of the track.
Yes, you're talking. Yeah, just about.
Wait, you want to pass that around still? 'Cause
Yeah, I
someone
mean-
wants to- can-
I checked.
we also see?
Oh, this.
So I have, is the original Swift account for the size of those comments? Trailers? So for the impervious area that we shoot.
The original script, so that would be on this plan here, and you know, the original script may have had, it probably goes. Yes. I'm not even sure. Information credit here.
But it's all, yes, that's a method that can be used, but it's all designed based on the impervious area.
Right.
If the original Swift didn't account for 4 53-foot trailers and just an inverter shed, the size of that different than for how many storage. units.
Right, and our solution is developed now. That's upstairs.
Sir, come over here.
We just gotta speak a little louder because they can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
All right, so this said 2 ± 2 foot wide AC trench, 0.6 meters wide with GC inverters and batteries. So this plan doesn't show any containerized batteries.
No, it's pointing to the trench, saying it goes to the batteries, which go to station A and station B.
Where's the Connex container?
In the old plan,
Yeah,
then there isn't one.
okay.
They're here in the inverter stations. So the old plan has 2 inverter stations, they call them station A and station B, and the inverter transformer station typically. It has 2 per job. As does the new one has some detail to it, which, because it's not that small.
But why was this battery storage designed differently?
What, this is the old plan, when the plan and the red DEP plan.
That is the plan for your project that was approved by this board. So what I'm asking you is, why did it change?
Oh, because this was essentially, and I wasn't involved in the process, but this is arbitrary. These are not real dimensions. These are way too small, these areas here, to fit an inverter, transformer, and battery storage. So it's a placeholder, essentially, I think, to bring it into conversation and say, this is what we're doing. But, so the plan was developed in the process, I'll just mention real quick, by the developer who used EEP. And we could use EEP as well, firm, but if you had used EEP, you still have to put real dimensions to everything. So it would still be covered by this schematic design. Yeah, that remains until the end of conceptual. I'm not saying it should have, I'm saying that's why that doesn't have a real size to it, because it's a conceptual box of placeholder. And these don't sort of the new ones that are shared, because it's really a 53-foot container, scaled down. And there's a little section for these converters. Yeah. That's in the new six. Yeah.
And then it was a design.
Yeah.
Where's the electrical design going?
Yeah.
All right, do you have those?
Yeah.
Can we get those?
I do have.
Stuff that just won't touch it, it's not.
Yeah. So I did bring the original Caesar studies.
Yeah.
From National Grid that call out per job 11.79 megawatt hours of energy storage. And I brought a section from the new electrical plans, the single line that show you that we're trying to put 9 megawatt hours of batteries.
What was the data in the Caesar study?
And
Which
my-
needed to be approved.
My assumption is that that's what they presented the town with, but I do not know if anything else was said in that.
It was not, and the approval was granted on September of 2019. Yeah, so we wouldn't have had that Caesar study when we approved.
Is it spare parts container?
Yes. Are those still there? Or are those getting replaced?
No, those are still there.
So then really is no, there's really nothing that shows battery storage.
I just see anything else.
Other than what I showed you, it says battery.
Gotcha.
That's all it says. Oh, I'm sorry. Bill. I was asking, when we approved it the first time,
Oh,
did we have electrical lines?
those containers don't have to be conditioned space, the batteries.
I'm sorry.
The batteries don't have to be conditioned space at all.
Air
Conditioned space,
air conditioning?
yeah.
Oh,
So
so the container
Oh,
is taken by HVAC. Correct. And the container is turned on, wired turned on, so run it before the cells are into it. Yeah, and
This is-
Yeah.
Teresa, usually always, I submit for a lot of those packages, but I'm not involved in the planning board. I come in and get it. But up to that point, no one ever supposed to. And I have to submit them. So, and I don't know if anyone has been either. I have to hire the outside perspective. But in creation, the first is a lot of stuff.
Is it a basic SWIFT or was it a full SWIFT?
Well, we have a full scope.
I'm sorry.
When it was approved. what was that?
No, SWIFT, which didn't require post stormwater control. Post construction practice. I don't see any, I didn't see any details in there for like infiltration, drainage, fire retention, anything like that, which would indicate to me that's probably basic.
No, actually, whether or not you have post-construction, stormwater controls, and then whether or not you change the hydrology of the site. So there's a new New York State law. If you don't change the hydrology of the site, which we are not doing, you don't need post-construction. And we absolutely have a 5-acre strip, full slip. It's upstairs.
I'm an engineer, I know, but you're. But,
Just,
What? Yeah,
Matt, tell him.
I'm a civil engineer, I write SWIFTs, I design SWIFTs.
so you know that if you
Yeah.
don't change the hydrology
No,
of the site,
it's whether you're increasing the impervious,
what's not, it's the hydrology of the site. So it's only like,
whether you're increasing the impervious area. So it's like, a commercial project, if you're disturbing over 1 acre of land, and you're increasing the impervious area. You're going from a tenth of an acre of impervious to 2/10 of an acre of impervious. You're disturbing over an acre of land. That would push you into a full step. If you're doing a, I'm just saying.
I know,
I'm throwing
I'm
out
saying I
there.
shouldn't have argued this. I just, yeah, so.
So that's why I was just curious whether it was the basis for.
And that is what, as a instructor, that's the very first thing I do is say, this is wrong, I can't only serve an acre in this job, I need the right to serve 5 acres. If I can do that, stabilize that. That's
You're asking for a 5 acre waiver. Is that what you're asking for? That's a totally different thing.
well, I'm asking for a 10 acre waiver with 2 minutes,
It's
so
only
5
5
acres. You see, I don't have civil engineering. I do have one on the phone, but I do have a 5 acre waiver, if you want to call it. I have not asked for 10 acre waiver. And have had in the past, a 5 acre waiver, I have to have a scope inspection once a week.
No, 5 acres.
10 acre waiver twice
No,
a
there
week.
is, there's no
5
10
acre waiver.
There's
once
no
a week.
10 acre. 5 acre waiver, that allows you to serve over 5 acres at one time. And when you have a 5 acre waiver, that means you have to have inspections twice a
I mean,
week.
over 5 acres.
Yes.
No, I have 5 acres. Sure. Of 5 acres.
Yeah.
I cannot disturb more than 5 acres.
Yeah.
I believe I can disturb exactly 5 acres.
You hit 5 acres. then
4
you-
and it's 4 point something, you must know. I don't know.
No, that's what I'm asking.
All right, well, let's talk about process for a second, board. Okay, so we have plans which are, which the building inspector has advised us, and which I agree with are different. I generally agree with it. I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't generally agree with it. I agree, we advise you that this plan is not what I would call substantially different from what you approved, but it is materially different such that it needs to come back to you guys for an amended site, a special use permit, okay? And what we're gonna do, if you all are in favor of this, is we had an engineer review this last time. I think it was Doug Cole. Mr. Cole is not retired, so hopefully he will still be available to review this for us. I think what you would need to do tonight is direct Dale to obtain escrow from the applicant and to get Doug to both review the plans and also to be at the next meeting of the board, so that we can ask him any questions that we have regarding. What I want to do is get the board in a position to review all these plans, both the old ones and the new ones. So what I think would be helpful is if we could get them electronically.
Yes.
Okay, do you happen to have a flash drive with them on tonight, or can you
No.
send us a share file?
I can, yeah, absolutely do that.
Okay.
I'm just.
And we appreciate that. Now, other than the, just to be clear, other than the road, the SWIP, and the containers, which will store the batteries, is there anything else that's different about the project from the EDP plans that were approved?
Well, if someone can look at the point of interconnection. I don't know what your understanding was on the approved plan. I don't know if you have poles there or not. We don't have poles there. National Grid has poles. We no longer have poles.
Okay,
So that could be a change. There usually are poles.
if they're National Grid's poles and not your poles, is
Or
that?
usually we would design with poles. So there may be poles on the plan, but we no longer have poles.
So that'd be under.
Yeah, there's a little plan, there's a surface mounted. So if that has poles for us, then it's different.
from your underground, it comes above ground onto poles that National Grid is putting out.
Right out of the first 75 feet.
They're gonna give you one pole, basically.
No, usually for solar projects, there's like 5 or 6 poles out front.
They'll bring it, they'll bring it that far in.
They're all,
They're
no,
all
they're like right next to each
Oh.
other.
Yeah, they in Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drive by them all the time there.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
Is there anything like a site development permit or any way that once we have a DOT permit, but before we have a building permit, including that 75-foot of road for National Grid, so that they could erect their poles on their side?
I'm not aware of any site development plan or grading permit. I mean, you all had an approval, okay? And let me just pull it up here. You had an approval that was issued in September of 2019. And then it was, because of COVID and everything else, it was extended for 2 years. When does that expire, Dale? It was 1 year, so it was 2019 to 2020. So you have until, I believe, 2022 to pull building permit. Does that make sense from time frame, guys? Yeah, Elizabeth? Yeah. They did, yeah, that's right. Okay, so you got you got final approval subject to conditions. And let me just read what those conditions are. I assume you have a copy of this approval?
I probably somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
Usually my scope starts after, not sent in to talk. So it's like, we'll see, give them plans.
Let me ask you this question. The fence line, has the fence line changed? Okay. So there's still 100-foot setback that's been maintained between the fence and the edge of your property boundary.
Yeah, no setbacks.
And the landscaping plan that you've given us,
Yeah, I brought another copy of it, and, so what the problem is with the landscape plan is it says there are 93 trees on that one long strip, and
Yeah.
that strip looks good, there are 93 in there, almost 3 more, and you can't see them, they're up at the point of interconnection, and they're covered by labels. We call my engineer, so they'll find out where they were. So I can get the labels removed and give you that plan, so you see exactly where those 3 trees.
these are
and
the
those
3 bushes, they're mountain laurel bushes, I think.
Are they, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the 3 are there.
So why don't you unroll that and send that around so that the board can look at that landscape plan as well.
So,
Yeah, they do.
Dale typically refuse its building permit versus. Right,
Oh, yeah,
and you're the one that brought up these changes that they don't match. items that are not important.
Right, the site plan.
Yes.
You're right, and Dale has a list of things, and Dale, you can just run through those.
Yeah, that might be great.
I agree with that.
we're only taking what's changed.
Exactly.
We're not.
Because
I
you
don't
already-
want,
you
we don't want to
already finished your
relitigate the entire site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, you know. Yeah, so.
Here, I'll read them if you don't want to.
Well, I can read it. You want?
Yeah, read them.
Okay. When I reviewed the plans, I came up with these comments. The site plan for temporary bathroom facilities are required prior to any work. A dumpster for debris. Who is responsible for performing the SWIP inspections? Distance between signage on perimeter fencing. Bonds or letter credit for decommissioning plan. Dust control and contact number. Copy of New York State DOT permit, copy of the wetlands permit, copy of the SWIP, copy of the notice of intent, and add an additional turnaround outside the gate. Electrical drawings, special inspector firm and information for bonding and grounding, etc. And storage containers for batteries. Are they heated, and the number and sizes of batteries stored in each container, and how will they be stored? How close together are they stacked? Any additional information? Area disturbance larger with additional roadway and extension, energy storage system, and inverter and transformer. I had 2 additional when actually they're not, but they were sized differently. Emergency operating plan developed for the fire department to be provided to the fire department, the town building department, and have one on site. And whom is responsible for maintenance of the facility, and are animals going to be used? Town visual agreement and the landscaping plan.
Just so you know, the town board has approved the visual agreement. We're just waiting for the property owner to sign it, because he also has to sign it. The decommissioning agreement and the bond has been approved also by the board. We'll actually, next meeting, I'll bring all those documents so you guys can look at it if you want. In the town board essentially has the ability to sign agreements on behalf of the town. So that's why you guys take it to the special use permit stage, and then it goes. I think, you know, the best way to proceed is to have Doug Cole verify for us what the changes are, give us any thoughts he has, and I'd like Dale to work with Doug on this, to give us any guidance on, you know, if there's any additional or different environmental issues or not. And also if there's any issues regarding compliance with either the approval that was granted or the local law. And I know you guys, and when I say you guys, I'm not talking about people who just joined the board, but if you would like a copy of the solar law that currently applies, we can get that to you. And you'll see, right, it's local law 7, 2016. And I have a copy here. If you want, if anybody wants copies, tonight. Josh is laughing because you guys all have it, but I don't think you guys have it.
No.
Okay. Jeff, do you have a copy?
Okay, but-
Okay, all right.
I'll do it tonight.
You can
Yeah.
do it. Do you want it?
I'll give it a minute.
There's been no amendments to the solar law. The town board is, you know, considering solar law. They've been looking at it for quite some time now, it's discussed in the comp plan. And a lot of the recommendations that were put into it originated at the planning board and zoning board of appeals. But they have not yet adopted it.
So, yeah, one of the items on the list was the letter. Did that include battery storage?
The performance bond goes with the visual screening agreement, so what it secures. It secures printing and maintenance of the landscape. The decommissioning performance bond, which is what I think you tend to reference, was based on an estimate that was reviewed by Doug Cole, which frankly may need to be increased because of the additional equipment to the site. So that's one of the things we need to look at. Yeah. Not yet.
Okay.
Let us figure out what we're doing and then we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
It's too confusing as.
I know,
is.
I just didn't, I didn't know how you did it here.
That's all right, that's all right. Oh, yeah, yeah. Melissa, can you give them the copy of the approval from September 2019 and also a copy of the minutes where they adjusted the error I made in the resolution regarding the acreage.
October 1.
Yeah, that was October. And I have a copy of both. Yes.
The new revised.
Do we have copies of the original electronically that we could distribute as well to board members? Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. If you can post those as well, that'd be excellent. Any problem with that, Dale? And if you would prefer to use paper, you can.
But you got, this thing always had battery storage. It's always. Yep.
Yeah.
The square footage of it may not have been adequately.
Well, and I think they originally were coming in, what was the megawatts? It was 5 megawatts each. And you said the battery storage aspect of it had been reduced.
The battery storage went from 7 to 9 megawatt hours to 9 per project.
For each one.
Per project, yeah, but the 5 kilowatt. I think, with the system size is from that original system.
Well, here,
That's, I guess it's the same AC, I'm sorry, or DC.
Yeah.
It's 5 kilowatt DC.
don't mess this up.
I'm
further.
sorry.
I was gonna say, then it's no longer a community project and I don't know why you're building it. So it's up to you. All right.
So can I ask, I have the digital submission and with the old approved plans for you, and then we're gonna be here at the next meeting. I'll bring a civil engineer for the builder, the developer will be here as well. To get on the agenda, is that, do you write in and ask for that, or are we on already?
Well, you all submitted plans to Dale on the 27th of June, which.
29th, I believe.
29th, I'm sorry, 20th, thank you for correcting me, 29th of June. So you were way before the time that you needed to submit to get on the agenda. We just didn't know you needed to be on the agenda until Dale had an opportunity. to
Do all the plans.
Why move August?
For August,
How do I get on that?
for August, what you're gonna wanna do is write in and ask us to approve the revised drawings. Okay, and, we're gonna, my advice to the board tonight is to, determine to set a public hearing for the next meeting, because this will be an amendment to a special use permit. And then, and we'll have the public hearing, and then the advice from Mr. Cole, and as well as the planning board members will have had an opportunity to review all the plans. Oh, he will.
Oh,
Yeah. Doug's always gotten it done.
Okay.
So, right?
Should be.
Are you second Thursday of the month?
Third.
Third Thursday. That's why I didn't talk. But Dale, I would talk to him first thing.
I will.
Did you already talk to him?
No, I haven't. Last I knew is in Maine, eating lobster.
If we have several other engineers that are using that engineer. I mean, it just makes sense that if we done,
Right.
he's just looked at it before. And he also reviewed the estimate, which Matt mentioned, which is really important as well. So, do we have enough copies of documents to get them to him right away?
Yes.
Okay. So it's really up to the board. I'm just giving advice. You don't have to follow. But I do think it would be a mistake not to have a public hearing for amending this. Nothing that I've seen here, largely because it appears that the exterior of the site remains changed. Gives me any sort of great deal of discomfort. It is not unusual that it's not unusual that plans change when we go from the approved set to the building permits. And Dale, yeah, right. And Dale was, he was more than willing to look at, minor internal pervious road changes, but this.
My biggest thing, and we'll see what Cole does, the biggest thing that I see is potentially which really doesn't change the outside envelope of it. There's plenty of room around these turnarounds and these battery storage acres to put some sort of practice, infiltration practice. It's more going to be of an engineering review than any change in aesthetics, functionality, anything like that. In my opinion, I think that's going to be the biggest change. They're going to be increasing the impervious area based on the actual design versus what was.
The location of the battery storage hasn't been consistent. The general dimensions are now quantified, correct?
Yep.
So, and that's another thing. If they were changing location closer to the outside edge, then they're probably.
Upstairs in the box is the new piano. I'm looking for now. Full scope up there. I guess Cole will need that as well.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest. And it's something that the layman would never probably knows, walk out on the site or what they're proposing to build for anyone that.
You wouldn't see it.
I mean, you might see them on the surface, but it would look like some grass. Yeah.
And to the extent there's containers out there where there might have been clear that those containers your concerns regarding?
Thank you for your time.
Public hearing here.
Okay.
Let's make a motion to have a public hearing. Before the public talk, don't go until the public comments.
You wanna make a motion for me to get a quote for
Yes.
escrow?
Yeah. He's still for this.
No, he's still a town engineer.
The list that Dell read, or we can go to them so they can officially respond to those items.
They already have it.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Okay. Thank you.
First, we would like the operator to provide additional funding for escrows. All changes. Submission. We'd also like to hold to at the August 19th, at which time we can present to the board any changes we found, any recommendations regard to those changes. Identify any items which are not complied with the by the town. Also, the town board submitted sales and contract. We'd also like to set a public hearing for August 17th. And the second.
Liz, Josh,
Yes.
Jeff, Matt,
Yes.
Walpole,
Yes.
Santuli,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Anything else from the board? Any questions for? If the board wants to entertain public comment, not to, they'll have an opportunity to talk next time. But we generally like people to talk. We appreciate that. Just identify yourself by name and address.
I'm just talking loud enough.
I'm Marion Jakeway. I've never had a problem talking about her. I just want to say I've been dealing with solar for a long time. I've learned a lot. You all look like deer in the headlights when they mentioned 4 53-foot trailers filled with batteries. You're like shocked. This is not unusual. This is what happens. You approve a plan, you think you got it down pat, and everything's ready to go. And this poor gentleman, he's thrown to the wolves, not the original solar company, to present it to you. And he's stuck. But you have to think about it. I beg you to look online, get educated for yourself what 53-foot battery containers mean. It's not just a little thing here and there. Would you want to live next to 4 trailers with 53-foot full of batteries? Do you want that in your town? That's a lot of batteries. So get on the internet, look and see how many solar fields actually have all these batteries, and ask why some of them don't. Because there's a lot of questions. Just don't listen to who's presenting it. Go out and get educated on your own. because you're making a big decision. It's not just a little change because it's within the fence. This is a major change to the environment. If they start leaking, it's a major change. If they blow up, this could be devastating. And the unfortunate thing is, it hasn't been around long enough to know what's gonna happen. So do you want that in your town? The other thing is Middleburg. I'm just saying, the planning board okayed plans for 16 family home units. The company decides they're gonna change it. They went from 16 to 64 in the same footage. But the planning board said, that's okay. It's within the same boundaries, it's okay. Well, now they're all backpedaling because the state got involved, the historic places got involved. So that's why you have to think out of the box. Just because it's within the fence, you have to really look when they said 53-foot batteries. And do you want to live? Now, how close is the first trailer next to the homeowners? You know, do you want to be that person living next to these? Do you want your children living next to these? And that's what I'm just saying. Look online, get educated for yourself to find out before you make your final decision. Because it might mean something down the road. And that's all. You know, and I'm on boards too, and you're all volunteers. But before you make this big decision, take the time for yourself on the computers. Look out for people, find out, because that's a major change. The bushes, the hedges, the roads, it's the 53-foot trailers containing batteries. That's the major change. Everything else doesn't mean anything. It's the batteries. Thank you.
Josh Barnes, 7, somewhere close to this place here. I think we were all taken off guard on this battery storage. All of us but a few. There has been a town member who's been bringing this up for quite some time. Under the changes, some of the things that we brought up was density of these projects and battery storage. There's been calls for moratorium to this, and none of it has seemed to make any headway. In regards to just this town here, this has been brought up a few times. In regards to these battery storages on this Oak Hill, there's a council member that said, no, there is none. There is none, there's no building. This was discussed a long time ago. There are just transformers on each panel. Another observation from this was supervisor at the time was they're not like the big storage unit that you think they are, which I don't think this town would be for. So basically, when it came down to these, they brought up other Eden renewable projects that have these. This one does not. This is observed from a meeting that was pretty close to this one in regards to these battery storage units did not exist, or at least this town board did not know they were there. So again, I'm asking for a battery moratorium on this and to really think of what we're doing here.
Okay, well, Josh, just to be clear, the planning board does not put moratoriums on stuff. That's the job of the town board.
Okay.
I'm just pointing that out.
That's fine.
And the previous plan showed battery storage. It didn't show it at this level of detail. It didn't show the containers. It didn't have that level of information on it. That's correct. But there was a notation on the plans that there was going to be batteries along with the inverters. And I can show you the plans.
It says inverters and batteries, it's on the plan. It's right there. These batteries that keep the voltage at an even keel. This is not like the battery storage units that I think you think they are, which I think this town would be against. Right. This is our, at the time, town supervisor. I agree with him in that statement that this town would be against.
Okay, no, I appreciate the thought.
No, it's not my thought, that was somebody else's thought.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Anybody else while we're here?
Lynn Bruner, 13388 Williamsburg Road. I'm getting some feedback. I apologize. apologize. The sound is very difficult with this meeting. I believe somebody stated that there was container on the site plan, and I would like to bring everyone's attention. I believe it'll be sheet 9 of 10. It's the detail sheet, of which it says spare parts container. And that's the large 19-foot container. Nowhere on the site plan is there a container of which is 53 feet, let alone 4 of them. This is a significant change of the scope of this project. It is a significant change for our fire department and for the safety of our community for the duration of this project. I ask that the planning board do their research and take this under very, very, very careful consideration. This changes the game of this project. And I don't think that Supervisor Tidball understood that this is what was happening. I don't think that the planning board in September 2019 understood that this is what it was. And over time, it has come out that Eden Renewables has submitted drawings and plans of which were incomplete and had errors. We are no different than the other towns of which Eden has special use permits approved. To my knowledge at this time, not a single town has issued a building permit for one of their projects. There's questions, there's details that have to be worked out. And I urge the planning board to take their time, to do their due diligence, and not rush through this. I submitted a 103E for this planning board meeting. I don't know if there were actual documents of which were distributed to the planning board. If there were, I did not receive anything.
There were no documents.
I hope that you would be respectful, and if documents about this project were submitted, that I receive them as quickly as possible.
You know, Lynn,
there's significant errors in those plans, and I've detailed them time and time again. Eden Renewables promised again and again and supplied photos and mailed mailers out that this was pollinator friendly. And if you look at the details under the seeding plan, all that's planted is grass. There are tracker panels, and these tracker panels have electrical harnesses underneath the support system in the array. These tracker panels and the cable trays will make it incredibly difficult to utilize sheep, of which Eden presented to us. It will make it difficult to maintain any of the vegetation under those panels unless you're using herbicides and pesticides. That needs to be addressed. There is significant stormwater runoff from this project. A former planning board member said it twice at 2 different meetings, including when this project was approved, that he believes that there will be stormwater runoff problems. This drains, this entire site drains to the northeast. It drains into somebody's hayfield. And I have submitted numerous photographs to the town of how much water runs into that parcel. 4 53-foot containers, changing the road. All of this needs to be looked at much more carefully because it impacts the stormwater runoff. Calculations have to be redone. This really needs to be reconsidered thoughtfully, carefully, and slowly. Please do not let any developer be a bully and push you into a forced and rushed decision. This will impact not just us. It will impact generations of Dwaynesburg. And we need to be considerate of how that will cost. The decommissioning plan, as presented and approved by this town, doesn't even include the removal of the utility power poles. It doesn't even include the cost of transportation. It is inadequate. And who ends up paying that price but the taxpayer? I think we've all learned a lesson of what has happened at Darby Hill Road and the house that burned down and is still a problem. We have to go to court. We have to pay for remediation. We have to pay for asbestos. This gets expensive for our town. And if this is what the decommissioning plan is inadequate, then what happens to the taxpayers at that time? Or does this site just become a landfill? I don't think the landowner is going to be that happy about it, and I'm sure the neighbors will not be either. Please take your time. Please provide the documents as requested to the abutting neighbors. Please present digital images, put them on the town website. Many other towns do this. It permits the entire community to view what's going on and have input. The neighbors care, the residents of this town care, and Dwaynesburg deserves better. I look forward to receiving the site plan. I look forward to reviewing this document and supplying information to my town. I'm the 5th generation. I care. It's not like I'm going anywhere. Thank you and good night.
Anybody else? So there's minutes.
Item on the agenda.
The one comment I had on the minutes is in the section that we talked about the wishy there's an attachment for the resolution. What we call that? We don't mention the resolution specifically in the minutes.
We should talk
Yes.
about the resolution.
We
Yeah.
just refer to maybe add a comment to see attached resolution number 2. Does that work?
And the vote should be in the minutes.
I think the vote is, it says,
Yeah.
it basically says we made a motion to approve the special use permit. Please see attached, maybe see attached resolution or something like that. Just refer to it by name.
Just in case it ever gets separated from the minutes, yeah.
That was all. I had. Especially something with red soda.
We heard anything back from Mr. Barrow Solar?
The restaurant?
Not yet.
Just scared him away. Possibility.
Hope not.
I know, I'm looking forward to that.
I think Rose has got to get a few more ducks in the row.
Somebody has been out in the fields. I don't know if they're scoping things out more, but I've seen some activity. So maybe he's not completely scared.
Isn't this considered like wetlands or stream or something too? Yeah.
Anybody have anything else on the minutes?
No.
All right, I make a motion to approve the June 17th minutes.
A second.
Harris,
Yes.
Santuli,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Walpole,
Yes.
Mike, Matt,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Matt,
Yes.
Walpole,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Santu,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jeff, Witz.
Yes.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way.
Too many mics.
I know, it's like I.
It's not through that. Think about it.
I mean, last name, then it's not jumping between.